The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS NBA Today podcast. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by one of the most respected NBA DFS players in the industry, also known as the Shark, Mr. Michael Apotria. How are you tonight, Michael?
I'm doing well, man. I missed you. It was weird. It was the first show that we didn't do together last night, so I got to sit here with Andrew for a little while, and man, I know he's pretty new to hoop ball. The kid's sharp, man. He's sharp.
Oh, I thought you guys did great, man. Kudos to you. I listened to the show. I thought it was awesome. I was waiting all day. I thought our man Dan Vespris was going to give me the axe and say no longer needed. You know, we got Apotria and Andrew now. You guys were awesome.
I mean, a lot of our plays looked like they did pretty well tonight too. So I gotta say, man, we got a good little trio growing over here, and from whatever I'm hearing and seeing, it looks like this DFS thing over here at Hoop Ball, we're growing, man. We're getting a few other guys on board. We're gonna be doing some forum stuff coming soon. It's gonna be a fun year.
Yeah, it really is, and it's just I'm excited because it's just such a great thing, you know, with seeing hoop ball really just full circle now. I mean, you've got, you know, it's a one-stop shop for everything NBA, whether it's the information on your top-rated guys for your year-long or dynasty or head-to-head leagues, and we got DFS now and all our guides, and it's awesome, man. It's fantastic, and I'm loving it. And as you know, I'm doing some stuff a little bit with Roto Radar too, because they're not in competition with Hoopball. They're a total different entity, but it's been awesome to be over there and in some of the chats and working with some of those guys and posting an article. It's a throwback for me. It's diving into DFS full time. I was interested to see, because I'm such a busy, smash a ton of stuff into my day kind of guy. I thought, am I going to be bored with this? And it's like, man, I can barely get everything done.
Welcome to the life, my man. It's fun once you put yourself into this fantasy, this DFS realm, this Twitter sphere that where we're always in constant contact with a lot of people. It becomes a little overwhelming, but it's what we do, man. I used to wake up on Sunday mornings, back when I was probably about 13, 14, going on blogs, answering questions for people, saying, fantasy guru, helping people out. And, once you realize how often you were doing it for fun and now it's just a whole different entity, it's really full circle and it's amazing, man. I pinch myself every day and I thank, everybody, including the people over here at Hoopball, for just allowing us to have this opportunity. It's one I definitely don't take for granted.
It is, and I also agree with you. Brew and Dan. I mean, they're awesome, and also our sponsor, our main presenting sponsor, Fantasy Draft. We got to give them a big shout out because they're the ones that are supporting this show and allowing us to bring what I think is industry best free content 7 days a week. And so big shout out to them. Go to fantasydraft.com. Sign up with the promo code HoopBall, and you get a free week of DFS action and up to $1,000 in rake-free play. And this Sunday, I know you've had some success with it. Make sure to get in that Hooters $500,000 NFL contest. I swim in there as a fish a little bit just to support our sponsor, but definitely jump in there. And I know you're trying to get back on the winning side in the fantasy draft football contest.
Yeah, man. I had that one bad week, and it still burns. It's not like basketball where Listen, we're sharks out here, and we do this a lot. It's not every night we win. Some days we'll have those streaks of 3 days when we lose, but at least I know on the fourth day I'll have another chance. I can't take this waiting 6 days until I get another shot at trying to get my money back. So I'm definitely having fun with the football, especially with the Ray Cree over at Fantasy Draft. These guys are amazing with what they do. Just really looking forward to basketball.
Oh, I know, me too. And we're making money and kicking butt in NBA. This is the eighth day, and our profits are way up. We're going through lineups every day, talking good starts, good fades, etc. And couldn't be happier. But in all honesty, I want to. We're going to keep on fighting hard and making money, but it's going to be so cool on the 22nd when they tip it for real, isn't it?
Absolutely, man. That's actually, we were just talking about before we got on air. I'm going to be out of state for work conference. I'm going to be gone for a week. So
wow.
I'm actually going to be on opening night. I'm going to be in, I don't even know, Maryland. I'm going to be in Maryland on opening night, and that's where we're going to be doing our pod. So I'll be watching the games comfortably from a hotel room, just kind of lounging. Maybe I'll take a trip down to the hotel bar. And enjoy myself on that opening night, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, the preseason's awesome. I can't even imagine, momentum-wise when we get into the regular season. But it's a week from Tuesday, man. It's almost here. It's coming up.
I'm counting it. I got it marked on my calendar. I believe they actually started releasing some of the slates.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Yes.
And they should know that's a mistake for us now, Coach.
Oh man. You know what? In all honesty, they released them. I saw them. I looked a little bit, but I keep smacking myself in the head and saying, "Don't look yet. Don't look too much yet," because I want to keep making money and staying focused on the preseason. Because there's, everybody's, especially now that those numbers are up, they're cheating and looking ahead and not focusing on making money each night. So, our DFS world works in 24-hour segments. It's not what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow. It's how did I do, in this 48-minute game, each game of a 24-hour period to crush it. So I'm trying to keep the blinders on a little bit, brother. But, my heart's still pounding for the 22nd. I can't wait.
And you're absolutely right. Until then, we have some preseason games to worry about, including tomorrow, a little lackadaisical day. We only have 2 of those showdown slates, but those are still showdown slates we can make money on.
They are for sure, and that's why I've been dragging my feet, because it's only 2 games. You guys got to tackle 7 last night, and I had to sit on the bench there and bench warmer. But let's just jump right into these 2, man. It's a 7:30 Eastern start, so that'll be the lock for tomorrow night. As we state, we do this show in the evening when the games are finishing up, and we want to give you that early morning pod to listen to throughout the day. So we're working on tomorrow's slate. So tomorrow's slate will be a 7:30 lock with Lakers in Brooklyn, and then 8 o'clock's Phoenix and Portland. So we'll start off with the LA Lakers, man. You got them.
All right, let's do this, Coach. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious with the Lakers, and barring injury news, and make sure you're up very early if you're doing this. It's 7:30 Eastern time, so you California guys over there, 3 hours behind us, you guys are going to be struggling on this one.
No, it's an evening game.
Oh, am I looking at something different?
Unless I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I think you. Hold on, let me double check this.
All right, I'm going to double check
because I don't want to give anybody the wrong advice.
We don't want people to set their alarm and then it'd be like, what the hell's going on here?
7:30 a.m. I think I'm right on this one, Coach. The LA game.
Oh my
7:30 a.m.
God,
It's in
you
China.
are, dude. You
it's a
are.
China game, so it's an early morning game. So if you're a West Coast player. Honestly, I'm just going to give you the flat out easiest way to say this. You might want to just sit this out unless you plan on staying up all night.
Good Lord.
These last minute scratches, last minute news, anything like that can really just especially on a 1-game showdown slate, it will decimate you. You can't have a player get a 0 in this and expect to cash. It's not going to
No,
work.
you
So,
can't.
proceed with caution on this. We're still going to hit it, though, as though it's an 8 o'clock, night game, I guess. So I'm going to give you just like how I would. It's pretty simple. If nobody's, sitting out as far as the Lakers guys, main pieces, you're looking at Davis, you're looking at LeBron. I think it's an easy plug-in. One of those guys are easily going to be your crown, your multiplier guy. And then, I'm looking at the other guys. It'd probably be like JaVale McGee. We've been kind of, playing KCP during this span, but it's not really working for us.
Yeah.
It's kind of, on these showdown slates, it's kind of a way I can see myself separating myself from the competition as a guy like that. But I feel like with the injuries on the other side of the ball, we can go with just those 3 main Lakers and be okay.
Yeah, I think so. Man, thank you so much for catching that. I apologize. I did not notice that was the China game. And that's interesting because I know there were some protests and all that controversy going on with the NBA in China with, the GM Morey's statement from the Rockets. What a nightmare that whole thing has been, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been thrown a loop through the things. You got Harden kind of commenting on it and, not going anywhere. Then now they can't comment on it. So, it's been a mess. It's honestly, it's kind of just one of those political things that I try to take my view of, just keep it on the basketball side. I guess, I just sit here and dribble when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is what it is at this point, and if it's going to affect the preseason slate, yeah, we have to keep an eye on it, but I don't think this one's going to. At the end of the day, I don't care who you are and what gripe you have against anybody, you're going to want to go see LeBron James play basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, in these type of scenarios, usually LeBron shows up. So, he's going to be on my ticket, even in his, mid-level minutes, and so is AD. I mean, I think you just use both studs here. I did it, the first time around, and it paid off. Being in China, showcase game, they haven't played in a while. I have no problem using both guys. I think that they both completely make sense. I have Quinn Cook listed as a game time decision, so that may give Rondo a few extra minutes at point. I know Alex Caruso also gets a rotation in the preseason, so he's worth a quick look at. But other than that, I'm a little sour on the Caldwell Pope scenario after he stung us, and I'm not sure he just seems to be pressing. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to fade that run that I had before and stick with LeBron and AD. And then if it's a challenge showdown game, where you're playing just this solo game, I think you look at Rondo or Caruso as well.
Yeah, the guards are always in play. I would probably just, I would prefer Caruso just because he has, I guess, more of an ability to score. And just knowing that both these guards are probably going to be pretty limited in minutes, just considering that LeBron primarily just runs point guard now. If he does share, plays a little bit, they're trying to play Rondo off ball, but it's not something I'm completely buying into, despite the few jumpers and threes he made early on during the preseason.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you. I wouldn't mind those guards, but it would probably take, a little bit more, another injury, another one of the stars sitting out for me to really consider them. Otherwise, it's just, we can only play 6 players at the end of the day. And I have my eye on, 3 Lakers. And just knowing the injuries on the other side of the ball, we're going to have a couple of these Nets players as well. This is going to be usage to go around. So I don't know if I'm going to get to those guards just because I think some of the other, guards on the Nets would probably provide more upside. So I'm not going to knock it for him, but I don't think I'm going to go there with the guards. I'm going to kind of just stick with the two big names, and then it's JaVale McGee versus the Nets. Coach,
There you go.
I think I got to play him.
You know that, man. That's a plug and play for you. But I think the reason I'll be able to afford those, the Davis, LeBron, maybe Rondo combination with the Lakers is because exactly what you just alluded to. Brooklyn is banged up. Karis LeVert is doubtful from what I read this evening. And Wilson Chandler and Kyrie Irving have already been ruled out. So that puts a big twist. I think you'll be able to get some really good value guys. Spencer Dinwiddie's going to be at the top of my list. He's going to be, I think, a lock play. I also like the rookie kid Musa. I don't know if you've seen him play much, but he was really impressive in the summer league, and he's trying like hell to make this team. And he got a decent run last time around. And even though Kurucs and Prince are also in the mix for minutes in this game, I like Moose's upside, especially second half. And so he's going to make my squad with Dinwiddie, and then I'll probably plug in, depending on money left, either a Jared Allen or Kurucs or Prince to make up my showdown team. But yeah, that group should fit. I don't know if Allen will with the pricing, but got to move those pieces around a little bit, and those are the guys I'm going to focus on.
So I'm looking at very similar guys. Obviously Dinwiddie. I got some interest in Prince. I got some interest in Joe Harris. I'm kind of looking at the guys that are going to absorb some of these Kyrie Irving / D'Angelo Russell shots that are left over. There's going to be a ton of usage to go around. We know in the front court, there are two guys, DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen, aren't guys known for their scoring prowess. So these shots are going to have to come from somewhere. So I'm going to take my gamble on the guys that we're expecting to kind of be in the starting lineup. Even if they play 20, 22 minutes, that means, best case scenario, the backups are playing 20, 22 minutes. So I feel comfortable just going with the talent on this one. I don't think I need to really go to any of the bench guys really on the Nets as much, just because, once we know that starting five, we can pretty much just assume that three of those, guys in the starting five are going to be taking the majority of the shots on the team.
Yeah, and you may be exactly right. It's one of those situations though where, what I try to keep in mind is not to be so fixated on looking at the salaries and spending all of the dollars, because you got to find the diamonds in the rough. To me, like a Musa, for example, is going to be probably 2% owned or something of that nature or less. And if you can find those diamonds, they're going to get 25, 28 minutes and produce, and you leave money on the table, it's not the worst thing in the world. And, I know that mindset we got to just stick with, and it's weird, but we got to stick with it until, the season tips on the 22nd, because really, I mean, you see it over and over, these bench guys in preseason that are getting heavy minutes are out producing the high-priced guys a good majority of the time. So walking that fine line, as we often talk about, Michael, is, how are the stars going to do in a limited role? Are they going to surpass a bigger role from some of the sub guys? And that juggling act is where we make our money.
Absolutely. I'm just, looking at the box score. From the last game that the Nets played with the very limited minutes from the guys who are actually, going to be missing time, you kind of get an idea of where these minutes I think will go. Musa just shot fantastically as well. Pretty empty stat line otherwise, besides his scoring. So that's another thing I kind of take into account, where it's almost like a law of averages thing for me, where he did shoot very well, he did play very well. But if I can't, rely on him grabbing boards, and it's going to be hard, playing with guys like Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan on the floor who are just, basically board hogs. And I think the assists are going to be hard to come by for him, especially knowing that they're going against an interior that has Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee, where I kind of feel like if I can't really depend on, I don't expect him to shoot 6 for 10 again. I don't even know if he's going to get 10 shots. That is encouraging. But I also want to see some counting stats. Knowing these guys are going to be playing limited minutes no matter what, best case scenario is probably looking at 24 to 26 minutes. I just want to see a little bit more. But again, that's also the GPP kind of mentality I take into these kinds of things, where I'm looking for a lot of the upside more or less than just that safeness. But I wouldn't be shocked, hey, Coach, if he goes off, that's your call. I'm going to give you that one. I had nothing to do with it.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to go off, but I can tell you from watching him in the summer league, he's not just a scorer. And I always fade the Andrew Wiggins just a scorer guys. I can't stand playing a guy that has 18 points, one assist, one rebound, one turnover. It doesn't do you any good. But the weird thing with the Nets in summer league is they ran the majority of their key guys. Jared Allen played a ton of minutes in the summer league. Kurucs played a ton of minutes. A lot of these guys got minutes, and Musa was consistently getting some rebounds, some assists. So that's my prowess for using him in this scenario. But again, like you say, it's you're going to get a rotation of some guys that didn't get the minutes. You're not going to have a replicated box score the first game, but like you said, it gives you a little insight into what some of these guys are going to do. So to me, I'm going to spend my money on the Lakers side and go look a little more value on Brooklyn. But I'm with you, man. I think it's going to be an interesting game, and we've spent a long time on one game. You can tell. What about when there's a 14-game slate, bro? We're going to be we're going to be going into the. We may go up until game time. That may be it.
Release it 5 minutes prior.
Couple things real quickly too is hit us up on Twitter. We got this huge momentum going and a bunch of followers and listeners jumping in. But take some time if you can. Shoot us some questions or feedback. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. He's at Mike Apotria, MikeApotria. And our third wheel, Andrew, who's awesome, is at Language Olympic, one of the weird ones of the names, but hey, everybody remembers it. And so hit us up, give us some feedback. Definitely, jump on this train, man. Our pods are blowing up. It's awesome stuff. We really appreciate too if you take a minute to subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars, give us a comment, a thumbs up. YouTube's blowing up too. We want to get some good feedback there. And you can find our podcasts everywhere the podcasts are found: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube. You name it, we're there. So jump on there, give us some reviews, and we'd really appreciate it. Again, we feel like we bring, thanks to Fantasy Draft and Hoopball, the best free 7-day NBA content that's out there. And with that, we go to game 2, which is an 8 p.m. Eastern time game. Phoenix Suns, Portland Trailblazers. And my Suns are one of my favorite teams to play in DFS. I'll let you have the honor, sir.
No. Listen, that's you, dog.
You want me to lead?
I don't feel like I should ever. I think we established you are the Suns guy. Listen, I could talk about the Suns all day long. I wouldn't mind to, but I'd almost feel disrespectful talking about the Suns when they're your team like that right now. So I'm actually just going to go straight to Portland. We kind of already seen a little bit of the rest already took place in Portland. We saw Lillard and both Lillard and McCollum sit out Thursday's game, so both those guys should be good to go. Again, this is a little bit of a later game. This is an 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game, so we should know. And I'd also be expecting Hassan Whiteside to play again. So, to be honest, I'm just going to kind of do almost the same strategy I took with the Lakers. I'm going to pay up for a few of the studs on the Portland side of the ball, just knowing that they're going to get that up-tempo pace of facing Phoenix, that porous defense of facing Phoenix, all comes along with it. So I'm going to have my eye on, obviously, Lillard. McCollum are in play. Whiteside, obviously, I think just his mass rebounding upside, his block upside, he can easily grab a double-double in limited minutes, so he's definitely going to be in play for me as well. And I think we always have to mention your boy, Anthony Simons. It's just a great point-per-minute producer, especially from the guard position. You don't see that too often, a point-per-minute producer from the guard spot. No, generally, it's your big man.
He's going to be a good one, man.
He's very athletic. He actually reminds me of like a poor man's Russell Westbrook, just watching how quick he plays.
Wow.
I wouldn't say, I said poor man. Keep that in mind. There's no really other like Russell Westbrook, just that junkyard dog mentality. The way he drives.
Let me type this up on Twitter. Mike Apotria says Anthony Simons better than Russell Westbrook. Got it.
Take it to the bank. Give it 3 more years. No, but this kid, he's good, man. He looks like he's got a
He is.
place in the NBA.
You
So,
know, I've been tooting his horn like a maniac.
oh
I love him
yeah,
too.
and that's why I said he's your boy. I mean, so I definitely think he's going to be someone to look an eye on. The one guy, I mean, if you're going to talk about injuries on the Portland side of the ball that you have to be worried about, it'd probably be Nasir Little. He missed Thursday's game as well, but it wasn't due to rest; it was due to an ankle injury. So that's one that we might have to consider that he kind of goes into the next game dealing with. So I'm kind of just gonna, again, it's a 1 game slate. We only really need to play like at most 4 guys from one team, and I just kind of said the 3 from that side of the ball that I'm going to be looking at.
Good stuff. I'm with you. I think you got to plug Dame back into the mix. I think after sitting a full game like that, if he gets his 25, 27 minutes, he'll probably smash. And Phoenix again is not the best defensive team, and the pace should be good. So Dame's to me is going to be a plug-in guy. I think that Hassan Whiteside is such a tough guy for me because he's so, undependable. You just don't know what to expect from him. But if he gets a decent run here, he could be decent. I mean, it's, Ayton likes to stretch the floor a little bit now, run the rim and face up and take a few J's too. And Whiteside could just own the paint. So I may roll the dice as long as Whiteside is ruled in. You got to always watch the news on him because if he has a sore, pinky toe, they'll sit him. So for me, I'll start my build with Portland with Lillard and Whiteside. And then I'm going to look at 2 guys since, again, you're having to fill in some periphery players here that I think have been getting minutes and producing while they're in there. And that's Kent Bazemore and Mario Hezonja. I'm going to use those 2 guys as my contrarian guys to mix in there to make my salary and make my team with Portland.
I like the Bazemore call just because his defensive upside. We've seen this guy countless times just rack up the steals. And, Ricky Rubio, pass first point guard, Devin Booker, a young guard who's a little bit more turnover prone for a shooting guard. So, who, I guess is not like a James Harden-esque shooting guard who handles the ball a lot. So the turnovers will definitely be widely available for Bazemore. So I really like the call on Bazemore. I'll now that you mentioned it, I kind of want to get a couple of shares of him. I wouldn't mind it. I think he's a better GPP play just because he is very volatile. So a few cash game guys might be a little bit wary of that.
I got you, man. As far as the Suns go, I am going to start my build with DeAndre Ayton. Basically, for what I just said, I think, Whiteside, yes, he's a shot blocker. He owns the paint. But I think Ayton's athleticism and quickness, I think he'll get some open 15-footers. And, with Whiteside probably playing somewhat limited minutes, I think Ayton can really take advantage. And Baines is still slow to come back with the nasal fracture and sore hammy. He's still questionable, so I have no problem plugging Ayton in right away. I'm going to fade Ricky Rubio. I think that, I just don't. He's gotten in the mid-20s in the first couple of games. Again, he was the FIBA MVP, played more minutes than anybody over there, and I'm really like Monty Williams as a coach. I just have a gut feeling these next couple of games he may take it easy on Rubio, and that's just an opinion. I didn't see anything in writing, but I'm going to pivot there to Tyler Johnson. He missed the last game with a migraine. Supposedly that's all set now. He's good to go. I think, being fresh and having those fresh legs, they've already sort of counted out Okobo and Carter being the backup point to Rubio. So I like Tyler Johnson in this run. Devin Booker is just always a plug and play for me. I mean, I didn't play him as much as I wanted to the last go around, and he did just fine. I mean, he's even in limited minutes. Again, like they said, he may only get 17 to 20 minutes. If it's even in that 20-minute range, he's just a massive scorer. And in a showdown game, I don't feel comfortable without having him. So I'll start my build there with Ayton, Booker, and Tyler Johnson. and then just maybe fill in with a contrarian guy somewhere. But that's going to be pretty much my Phoenix call.
Another thing I would like to throw in to keep an eye on is what they do with Oubre or Bridges. Both these guys, it feels like less than 7 to 10 days ago, we're told that they would be reevaluated within 7 to 10 days and that they weren't going to play then. But we saw both of them suit up last game. So, respectively, one played 18 minutes, one played 14 minutes, both off the bench, and they started Cam Johnson. If both these guys, assuming they're healthy, I would be hard pressed to think Cam Johnson starts again. And if let's say Oubre's in there, if he's playing more than 18 minutes, I definitely have some interest in him as well. Dario Saric played 25 minutes last game, took 12 shots. I mean, shot 25% from the field.
Not good.
No, not good at all. But the willingness to take the shots is good to me. So just the fact that he's trying to get loose, he's trying to get that rhythm going with this team, and he's willing to jack up those shots definitely means something to me. So I think both those guys are also in play. I'd rather play Oubre over Bridges. I mean Bridges, I love his game and everything. I love the steals and the threes that he can get. Just Oubre, I think, is a better fantasy player, a little bit more complete. So I'm kind of with you. I think Ayton and Booker are definitely always in play. Almost, I guess you can almost call them must plays. And then my next two options, I think, would be Oubre and Sarge if I'm looking somewhere else.
I like it. I like the thinking there, and the Saric thinking is sort of my Jake Layman. I was all over him in the first game. Was 0 for 6 from 3, and just didn't get the fantasy points done. And of course, I chickened out and faded him in his next game. And like you said, just the willingness to take those shots means something. And of course, he dropped 20 points and had a wonderful fantasy game if I would have just stuck with him. So you're right. That's a great trend to look at is, two things really. And this is a great point going into the regular season mainly is if they're willing to take the shots and the coach is putting them on the floor for the minutes, those two usually connect at some point. They're not going to every game, but when they, the fact that they're willing to do both, they'll be on the floor and they're going to get some shots up, usually pays off. So I love that point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that you brought up the Tyler Johnson too, because Tyler Johnson thing too as well. Because if people start box score chasing and they look and they see Javon Carter, 24 minutes, 16 points, took 12 shots, that was mostly because Tyler Johnson was out. So that's another thing to take into account.
Got to dig into it, man. That's for sure.
And I think that's it, man. I don't have anything. I don't have anything else.
You're off tomorrow night. I get to do my first Andrew show, huh?
Yeah, man. I get a nice little relaxation day where I can kind of just sit back. I have my hometown year-long fantasy league on Sunday, so I'm going to spend the majority of my day tomorrow preparing for that. I got the 8th pick, so we'll see how this goes. I hate the 8th pick. But I'd like to think I have a leg up on some of these guys I grew up with.
Well, you know what? I'm not trying to show you up here, believe me, but I have my draft on Sunday for our 40th season. That's the truth, man. I was 15 years old, so like everybody knows how I'm an old man. But sophomore in high school, we started our first league. And this is our 40th season. Isn't that the crazy ass stuff?
Holy shit, man.
I know.
Like,
You can make fun of me for being old, and I know that, but I think young and I work like a young guy, but I'm proud of it. I mean, our first season, my sophomore year in high school, and I think we were one of the first NBA fantasy leagues in the world because my buddy and I, Mike Perry, we read and I shared this story with you, but I don't know if our listeners have heard it, but there was a magazine called Inside Sport Magazine. And on the last page, there was an article called Le Rotisserie Club. And they did a baseball, these attorneys got together and did a baseball fantasy draft. And my buddy and I were just monster basketball fans. He said, why don't we do the same thing for the NBA? So we had the original 6 guys, all high school sophomores, and we did our first draft. I still remember my first 3 picks. I had Dr. J, Moses Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So, that's one for the books, man. So
Must have been playing with some rookies, man. How'd you get those three guys off the rip?
we only had six man deep, and you're talking there were a lot of great players in those days because the league was smaller and there were just a lot of stars. So I did win it that year too. So if that matters, I won the initial. But I have the 5th pick this year. You talk about tough because it's a 10-team league, and I like being on the ends. That's just I just like the double pick. But being dead in the middle 5th, and that's a tough spot as well.
I think I don't mind the 5th. I think there's a big drop off after 6, so that's kind of where I want to be top 6 or I want to be 9 or 10. So that 7 or 8 range is kind of what I like to avoid if I'm in a 10-man league. So
who do you think I'm going to get in the 5-hole, man? Who's going to be there? You know for sure that Anthony Davis is gone and Giannis is gone.
Harden should be gone.
So do I get a Curry maybe 5th?
Curry, Towns is where I'd be looking.
Or Cat, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess so. Left. I can't go wrong with either one of those.
You're getting good games played. You're getting good scoring. You're not getting hurt in any kind of category with any of those guys. So those are the two. And then I think, at 6, that's where you kind of look at either LeBron or Jokic. The other one falls to 7. So, and then after that, it's just, between 8 and 14, you could basically jumble those guys up almost in any order.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm going to be rooting for Curry. I hope I can get Curry in the 5-hole. That'd be my goal.
All right, well, put the spoon under your pillow, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. All right, well, tomorrow I'll have to do the show with Andrew. Make sure that you listen earlier on Sunday because there's a 5-game slate that tips off at 3 p.m. Eastern. So Andrew and I will get that show up, and Dan will make sure and post that tomorrow night so that you can get ready for those Sunday games. So that's it, my man. You got anything else you want to throw into the mix?
Nah, I'd say enjoy your weekends, guys. We got this season creeping up, so make sure you're managing that bankroll. Don't blow your wad too early during the preseason. As much fun as it is winning money, we still have to take the same approach where you kind of manage that bankroll, and let's have some fun doing it.
Absolutely, man. Let's crush it. All right. Awesome, dude. Well, for NBA Hoop Ball Fantasy DFS Today podcast, I'm getting all of the stuff in there today. Presented by Fantasy Draft and Hoop Ball. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we look forward to going after it again tomorrow and crush it for the rest of the season. Thanks. Good evening.
Take care, guys.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.